I know who I am. Do you? Disenfranchised, don't even know it. You drive to your house, live that life. You think you're better than me because you play by the rules? Whose rules? My life is my own. I'm an outlaw.
My name's Dan Kemper. Everybody calls me Opie, and this is my 1932 Ford 5-window. Had the car I built the car 22 years ago. Found it in West Virginia. A friend of mine, it was in a pretzel truck, completely dismantled, and took me about 6 months to get the car. Thought I was going to have to wait on a guy to die in order to get it. I picked it up on Valentine's Day with my wife, drove 5.5 hours to get the car, bought it sight unseen, in the dark, brought it home, I built this car in 3.5 months. From the time it rolled off of the trailer, till the time I took it off the trailer to the time I was driving, it was 3.5 months. This is an original steel Henry body, original frame. It's got a 49 to 53 flathead V8 in it, a 39 Ford transmission, 40 Ford rear end. That's an Almquist 2-carb aftermarket adapter that I found at a swap meet. The front axle is an original San Diego Speed Shop 32 dropped axle, which they called those a Dago. It's got 40 Ford brakes all the way around. And these are Firestone 15-inch tires. The front wheels are 56 F100. The rear wheels are 56 Chrysler. It's a 40 Ford rear end with a 40 spring, and I had to shorten the torque tube and drive shaft 18 3/8 of an inch. Why I remember that, I have no idea, but I do. Tail lights are 37 Ford, mounted on cut down Model A taillight stanchions. It's an original gas tank. Inside, I've got the original 32 Ford seat, which I rebuilt, put new cross springs in, and a good friend of mine, his wife, Mary and Kenise, did the upholstery for me. It's an original Ford Banjo steering wheel. The gauge cluster is 50 Oldsmobile. Found that in a friend of mine's garage, and I have no idea what the aluminum piece around it is, but it was originally in a 32 Ford Cabriolet that was built in '56, and my buddy donated that gauge cluster.
And what is the question that everybody asks you all the time?
If I had $1 for every time somebody asked me when I was going to finish this car, I wouldn't be working. Paint on it is Tractor Supply Spray Bomb Red Oxide Primer.
And what do you tell them when they ask you that? It's exactly the way it's supposed to be.
This car was built to look like if you rolled into the Sunoco station in 1951, the kid pumping gas would be driving a car just like this. The guys coming home from World War II couldn't afford shiny paint and aftermarket speed equipment, so this is what they did. Now,
How often do you drive it, Opie?
This car's been on the road 22 years, and I've put 250,000 miles on it. I drove it from Middletown, Ohio to Daytona Beach, Florida in November and hit 2 inches of snow in Atlanta. And the engine has kind of a weird story behind it, because when I first put it together, I had a 50 Mercury in it, and it let go. And the same guy that donated the gauge cluster and the front axle had bought this engine out of a dirt loader that belonged to the city of Hillsboro. And I needed a motor to go to the James Dean rod run, and I called him up and asked him if I could borrow this engine for the weekend, and he said, yeah, come on over and get it. So we swung it the Wednesday before, drove it to Indiana, the James Dean run, and it ran so good I called him up and asked him what he wanted for it, and I took him cash, and it's been in there ever since.
What happens when you're going down the highway and people get beside you?
Had more thumbs up than I can imagine. I drive the car all year round. I come out here to Horsepower Farm every month, and we've driven out here in the snow, and it doesn't bother me one little bit. I built this car to drive, and that's what I do with it. I drive it.
Well, I want to thank you, buddy. What we're trying to do is save automotive history, and you have definitely done your share. I want to thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
life is my own. I'm an outlaw.